First up is Nope, which is the latest film from director Jordan Peele, and I will put the disclaimer out there to start. I don't like horror movies. I'm not good at watching them. I get really scared. I don't care if it's gutsy, gory horror or psychological thrillers. I just get very paranoid and afraid, and so they work really well on me, which is why I don't like watching them, because I'm a fraidy cat in that sense. And it's just not I don't get a thrill out of being scared like that. I just get scared. So, I have seen all of Jordan Peele's movies, and I do really like them because I think they are very smart and have something to say. Nope has something to say. It's not that it doesn't, but I do think the themes and messaging of Us and Get Out were a little stronger, and I think the challenge for Jordan Peele is that everyone is always comparing everything to Get Out, which I thought was really brilliant. I was sitting there during the movie, I was trying to figure out what is the sort of thesis of this film. If Get Out is about racism and the racism that comes from like more performative sources, or let's like blatant racism, even though spoilers, it's about racism, right? And then Us is also about that, but about class and privilege. I feel like Nope is his exploration or expression about being a black filmmaker in Hollywood. That's what I took away from it. And then I also felt like the trailers are slightly misleading. And I don't want this to be a spoiler, but I do think tonally it is less like Get Out and Us than the trailers want you to believe. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just feel like it was overly positioned in a way. And so I sat there the whole time with like hands over ears, like waiting for, it created an extra level of suspense in me, which maybe was the intention, but wasn't pleasant. And I finally, when I realized like what the film was doing, I was like, okay, I can relax a little bit and enjoy it for what it is, not necessarily what trailers may have misled me to believe it is. So again, I think it's about, a commentary on the black filmmaking experience in especially modern Hollywood. It stars Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer and Steven Yeun, and I think everyone's great in it. I really think sometimes you forget that Daniel Kaluuya is British, but he and Keke Palmer play siblings, and their father, who's played by Keith David, owns a horse training ranch, and they train horses for Hollywood and commercials and movies and all that stuff. And it's a very small industry, and I can imagine also in real life there are very few black people in that industry, let alone that subsection of the industry. So. Again, if you've seen the trailers, this is hopefully not a spoiler, scary things start to happen, possibly extraterrestrial things, possibly not. We're not sure. It's freaky. So without going more into the plot details, there were so many specific filmmaker, film industry, film nerd things that I was like, as someone who has a background that, touches that core, I got it. And I was like, oh, I think I know exactly. Like, there's such subtle, brilliant, specific things in it. But I don't know if a wider audience is going to be as plugged into that. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy it and you won't have, you won't get the themes and all that stuff. But I was just like, wow, this is really for film people. So if you're a film buff, like this might be, the greatest movie you've ever seen. Again, it still falls into the same sort of family as his other films. I do think it's a spiritual successor in many ways, but my biggest thing is don't go in expecting Get Out, just accept it for what it is. I still had a good time. I mean, good is relative, right? Because I sat there terrified for 90% of the film, but I still thought it was an enjoyable film. And I was able to sleep afterwards, which was really great for me. So I'm going to give Nope a 4 out of 5. And the next film I have this week is called The Gray Man, and this is a Nope from me. So it's from the Russo brothers, Joe and Anthony Russo. You probably know them best for their work on, The Avengers. But for me, I actually know them from, they were directed Community. But so they had like a background in comedy, or they have comedy chops. And I feel like The Gray Man, they've called it supposedly their return to comedy and things like that. I don't know if you would call it a successful return to comedy. So the premise of it is you've got Ryan Gosling as this sort of recruited bad boy, and he's recruited into the CIA to do not black ops stuff, but things that fall into the gray, right? He's not officially a CIA operative, or is he? All this stuff, whatever. And then you've got Chris Evans as sort of a foil to him. You've got Ana de Armas, Regé-Jean Page, Billy Bob Thornton, Alfre Woodard, and I don't want to keep ragging on Netflix for these films, but these films are so bad. Like, I don't know why they keep greenlighting them or acquiring them or encouraging them. I don't know what the business model is here, because if you've been following the news of their subscribership, etc., like these types of films are not working. And it feels like, what if you're trying to churn out content, like don't spend the $100 million on one crappy film, spend $20 million on 5 like decent medium-sized films, and maybe one of them will be spectacular. But I feel like putting all these eggs into these like movie of the week baskets are just, it's so bad. So Ryan Gosling is an action hero. Chris Evans is an action hero. Ana de Armas is sort of an action hero, but also feels like sort of like, the girl who gets put to the side. I got the sense that they were trying to make her feel as capable, etc., as the guys, but it's just, again, they tried to infuse some sense of comedy into it, and it just, there was only one line I laughed at, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's only a line I laughed at because of the meta-ness of it. And I don't think it'll age well. And I also, it was so far into the movie that I was like, oh God, okay, we're still here. The action is whatever. The effects are whatever. The script is ugh. And I also just, I don't believe Chris Evans in particular as a character who falls into the gray. He's a possible bad guy because he has a mustache that looks like a cop. But, aside from, also the facial hair in this movie, so terrible all around, actually. Ryan Gosling has a goatee that I just atrocious. This movie, no. I can't recommend it. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5, and I feel like that's actually being generous.